I love children's books, especially preschool children's books. They're fun, they're funny, they often have a moral to the tale, they're colourful, the illustrations are brilliant, they often have quirky characters in them, and I'm just so in awe of the artists and writers that do them in an age of Xboxes and iPads and phones that they can grab the interest of a busy toddler. So my children are older now, so I don't get to read them to them, but I needed an excuse to be able to look and read them. So I thought there must be other people like me, so I'll start a video and get a discussion going and read some stories, maybe make some crafts inspired by the books, but mainly just have a bit of fun. So I thought we'd start with a favourite of ours when my kids were little, Norman the Slug with a Silly Shell by Sue Endra. She wrote Barry the Fishy Fingers, Sue Potato, lots of books you'll recognise, but this was one of our favourites. It's just a really fun book, but it also is a book about envy, disaster, exile, despair, creativity, love, panic, and there's even a kidnapping. So without further ado, here we go. Norman the Slug thought snails were great. Wow, said Norman, look at them, they're amazing. But unfortunately the snails didn't think Norman was great. Crash! Norman, you silly slug, they cried. You've spoilt our fun. This only works if you've got a shell. Norman felt left out. Sadly, he sulked off into the moonlight. If only I had a shell of me own, he sighed, looking at his reflection. And that's when he had an idea. Maybe I could have a shell after all, he thought. But finding a shell was not as easy as it seemed. One was too bouncy, one was too noisy, and one was already taken. Norman needed time to think. Ta-da! A shell! It was perfect. Norman had never been happier. He could join the snails at last. Norman loved being a snail, and the snails loved Norman's silly shell. But the fun didn't last for long. Suddenly there was a loud flapping of wings. Look out! Bird! Cried the snails in panic. Quick, slither for your lives, or we'll end up as supper. But the bird was more interested in Norman's silly shell. It looked delicious. Norman was being carried up and away, higher and higher into the sky. What could he do? Norman did the only thing a slug could do. He made slime. Lots of it. With a slither and a slogger, a slip and a slide, Norman was free. But he was falling faster and faster and faster until... plonk! Norman, Norman, are you okay? Asked the snails. Wow, said Norman. That was great. I love flying. If only I had wings. Ta-da! There we go. Brilliant, isn't it? I love it. And I've even crocheted my own Norman. There we go. There's Norman with his donut attached and his pair pants as well. So there we go. Thanks for listening.